Hello and welcome to the next episode of this disaster series, which is obviously all about my life and this Lego room as well. Now, the last episode as such, I don't even know if I'm going to show it because I got annoyed with the tape measure. That's how bad things went, so potentially you might not have seen that one. But long story short, I was making space for the new Avengers tower, which is still coming out, but obviously hasn't been officially announced with a date. I hoped it was just going to go perfectly on that side and it hits the roof. That is the long story short. The long story was I ended up having a fight with a tape measure. So if you want to see that, that'll be the episode before this one if it went live. But today we've got loads to do. So what I'm going to have to try and do is I need to move this shadow box because that is in the process of going to be built. When I say the process of being built, we have got this vehicle just here. Now if you look at the size of this thing compared to, for example, the Batman vehicle that came for the Batman, this shadow box is going to be absolutely massive. So we've got a plan of attack for that, where that's going to go. We need to get the Doctor Strange in situ, we need to move these bits and pieces, and the Joker Manor is going to have to move. So all of that is going to happen in today, and then what I am going to try and do is sort of maybe start to link it up with some roads and footpaths and things like that. So stick around, there's lots of things to move, which means lots of things are going to get broken, but hopefully we might actually make a dent and basically finish off our superhero section ready for this new Avengers tower. Right, so we do have a plan of attack for the future videos as well. So all of this is a complete and utter bomb site. If you have no idea what happened all the way in episode number 1, there was a massive hole in the floor. Now, yes, that is some string dangling from the roof. I'm in the process of figuring that out. Today's going to be a very long day in here for me, but it's going to be multiple episodes for you. Obviously, as we go through the comment section, let me know what you think. Let me know if it's in the right place. But what I have now is a table plan at last. Late night with Jay's Toy Collection UK last night. Again, go and check him out for basically every scale apart from minifigure scale that he collects. So I need to get him on those CMF minifigures at some point. I'm sure we can slip some of them in there. So the plan of attack is we're going to figure out over the next couple of episodes what we're going to do with the medieval theme, what we're going to do with this roller coaster, because this roller coaster actually does need to move. I know it's a nightmare, but we are going to put the Disney castle there because of the ceiling height. This is the issues that I've had, so I'm not going to mess around with it. So Ninjago has been done, that is in roughly, and yes, we have figured out what we are going to do with regarding getting 2 base plates of space in there. So all of that will come in future bits and pieces, including all the Star Wars bits, and we're going to have the outer rim and all sorts of stuff with loads of signs. So I can't say that with a straight face. But this is what this is all about. So what I want to do first is there's going to be a lot of climbing on this table. So if you feel a bit seasick, I do apologise. You're going to come up with me and you're going to come down with me. Now, I don't know if you can see it, and I didn't even realise it was there, but there is a little screw just between the assembly square and the police station. Now, what a lot of you might not know is I do have the UCS version of this, and it's a nightmare, and I can't put it together. But what a lot of you might not know, on the back of this one, you have this. Now that, to me, looks like it will swallow a screw. So what I'm going to do, hands-free, to start this disaster off, is I'm going to climb up and try and put it up there and just see what it looks like. And then, at least that is one thing out the way. Now, the funny thing is, this table is really wobbly because I still haven't sorted the legs out. So that car is about to go flying. Right, come on. Focus, focus, focus. I need to look through the camera when I'm doing this. That is there. Can I lean further forward? Oh, have that. First time. There we go. Boff. So I could try and raise it up a little bit, but to be honest, I think that it works well because it looks like it's parked right behind the Gotham. Like I said, I've got the UCS one, but I don't know if that will work up there. More than likely, it's just going to fall apart. But that is the first thing. Possibly get it from there. It works. I think you can see how that looks from different angles. It's a nice scaled thing, and it is right behind the police station. And obviously, if we move the police station over, then it could potentially be directly on top of the police station, and we have got up there the actual bat symbol as well. And obviously all of this will be designed with minifigures and everything, and this table is being kept free for this loop roller coaster, which will go there because everything else needs to be done before it goes in. So one day I'm just going to buy it and I'm just going to have it looking at me until I actually get a chance to build it. But that is thing number 1. Right, thing number 2, this. We need to figure out where this is going to go, and in all seriousness, this as well. So this is going to be a bit of a nightmare. Now I'm going to basically wing it because it's impossible to measure because you've got all these overhangs, you've got all different bits and pieces on the back. This has steps and things coming out. So what I want to try and do is just free up the space on this A-frame. So it doesn't look like it's much, but this Daily Bugle tower, that is like 80 something. So I have got a proper tape measure with me today, which means I'm not going to get angry and annoyed with it. So it will be fine because this tape measure locks off, so I can actually hold it and not have to worry. Now the roller coaster, I do believe, is 93. So if you put that into perspective, 93 is there. All the way up there. So even with that gap, obviously you've got to take the tape measure away from it, but you are well above the Daily Bugle. So I can't really put the roller coaster anywhere else because it's so long, it will hit the roof very, very quickly. So that will have to go there, and that is what's going to finish off our theme park. He says as he's now dropped the tape measure and he's knocked, starting a fight with the tape measure, and it's a different tape measure. But hopefully this one, he says, will snap back. Yes. And he takes my finger off. Right, I need to move this. Now what I think I'm going to do for now, this is going to go with this, but this needs to move, and I need to put this somewhere. So I think I'm going to have to put this on this table, and I'm going to use this as my dumping ground for today, and then we can just figure out exactly what's what. So this is all of our little fun fair stuff. Now I am going to use this as a divide for the different lines. So the plan is that I want to move this roller coaster over to where this haunted section is, and then we've got the path that you can see here that you can walk through, which we can use it basically as a web going to different areas. So I have an area 1 here, area 2 on these two tables, area 3 at the back, this roller coaster there, and then at the very, very back behind the Ninjago, that'd be another area, and then we've got further space with the green. So that is the plan for that. Now with this, you can see we've got all these little bits and pieces, which we will go over in much greater detail. Now I should have, in fact I need to actually put this back before I put all that stuff in the way on the table. So this hasn't gone well because I moved this down as a comparison and I have forgotten to put it back. So I need to go back up onto the table. Now if you're wondering why the Sandman hand was in the head on this, I've just recently watched the film, and that is obviously where he is for most of the final battle, and then that is obviously when he then becomes human. So if you've not seen the film, bit of a spoiler for you, but it is one of the greatest films made, so I do highly recommend this set. It is a very, very good looking set. So for now, this is where this is going, and then it will be changed if people think it needs to be changed. I read everybody's comments, but at the moment, because of the roof height and the ceiling height, that is basically the only place it can go. So you have got that just up at the top, and I think it looks all right. It'll do for now, basically. There's nothing else that we can put there. We can try and customize it, but don't forget all of this across the front, because we have basically a path, and you've got all these little hopper bits and pieces. We can just fill it with minifigures. So the hoppers, I mean, they can just stand there like that, look, so you can angle them around and do whatever you want. So we can just have a load of civilians just walking around, and this is basically our city street for our theme park, where you can just go in. It's just fascias of stuff. So a lot of them don't actually do anything because it's how they hide the rides, like they do in Orlando and things like that. But up here, I think that does look quite effective, and that is a little bit of a better look at that. So that is back up and in place. So we're 2 for 2 with nothing being damaged, and this is what I mean about the roads. So what I want to try and do is, if I can, just roughly put some of the road plates in, and our roads are now going to be used as our walkway for all of our human beings. Now the other thing I need to move, I do believe, is this. So that can go there, catch that before that falls off. Perfect. Right, we have got a little ticket booth, little popcorn machine. So all of that's going to go in our little fun area. That really does need to go with the Ninjago stuff, so that can just get that 100%. I'm knocking that off the table, 100%. Right, Doctor Strange. I reckon we don't have to move this too much, because my plan for here is all zombie apocalypse type stuff. So do we have this lined up like so, because that is how that would be? What space do we have? I need some base plates, so I think that looks nice like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of my old runways. Now we can, I think, have this overhanging, I think, but I'm not too sure by how much. So you can see at the back, because this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because this is a base plate and a half. So if we go by this, we have got basically a base plate and a half, 2.5. If I overhang it by that much, That's how, that, to be fair, won't matter to me as long as the Loop roller coaster will fit. So if we go by that, right, that's what that looks like. It's sort of patched together. It's not 100% repaired, obviously, but from there, I don't actually think it looks too bad, to be honest. I think it kind of makes sense because you've got, in theme parks, you do have lots of different rides and all the different bits and theming. Obviously, if that was like a black canopy, for example, or something different, it might make a little bit more sense. But it does mean that we can actually potentially use the rooftop and just have stuff going on that. Just treat that area as like Zombieland. Have you seen the film Zombieland, where they've got the perfect theme park being attacked by the zombies? It's a merge of both, isn't it? So you've got to get a little bit creative with it. It just because the colours don't make sense. Think of it as a theme park, think of the areas that you walk through. You'll go through, for example, in Orlando, you've got this massive Jurassic Park section, and then there'll be a tiny little walk around for the little kiddies, which has very delicate theming around, because there needs to be something for everybody of every age group in every section of the park. So you have your laser shooter, you have whatever you want that to be, and then you've got a nice little merry-go-round. And I could, I guess, try and bring this back, because again, the problem is because they're off, we just ideally want to work by 32 by 32 base plates, and you just keep going 32 by 32 by 32. But what I might end up having to do is, if we just go off that, for example, and then we push that one back, we could just have a bigger display at the front. So that's, say, just over half a base plate, just so it kind of gets to line it up, because it's going to get quite difficult quite quickly. But you can see what we want to try and achieve, because like I said, I want every single base plate, footpath, waterway all to link up, so you can walk around this full theme park from one side to the other and not get stuck. So that is the plan of attack for that. Now, getting stuck is this. Can I get this over to here? I really hope it'll fit. I am going to put you against the bank and just have you gangster leaning, maybe? No. There. You can go there. Not the easiest, not the greatest. So we've got to move all the little base plates, all these little row plates and stuff that's in front of it. We've got these nice little water bits and pieces as well. I just need to grab this. I've got to find a war machine as well. Apparently that's a hard to find minifigure. That was just on my floor, as with everything else. I just hope this fits, because this was full of all my different Batman figures and some villains as well. So if this can just slot, I just need the front to be flush. If the front goes flush, I'm happy. Right, we're flush. And, oh, we can do it. Amazing. So that is what that is going to look like. Lots of colour, which is perfect. But then obviously, if I can stand from here, you've got the display for those two in front of that. And then that is the very, very back. So that works because it is a ride. So I don't think people realise that actually you do stand up and queue up on this thing. And look how close the Doctor Strange light is to the side of the actual coaster. So if I can just bring this down right to the edge. That is flush there, because you actually do enter this from the back, but we can create a footpath off the side. Now I've got all the Batman minifigures on there, so I've got one there, one up there, there. Patterson, I think, is up on that one. You've got one of the villains there, you've got another one there. Mr. Dodwell's favourite there, and then what we will do is we'll add just some more for now so they don't get lost. So we'll put you there. I know you're not the right one, because you should be over the Apocalypse set, but you can stand up on there. That's the only piece I'm missing, the flag. I need to find the pink flag, and then we'll be okay, and then that Robin can go there. But that, for me, I think is okay. I can still walk around the table. And then we have, does this still run? Yep. So that still works round, that still works, that's absolutely fine. Now, the one thing that I'm scared to look at is how bad the display now looks to my left. But final quick look at this. Doctor Strange wrapped around, so you can walk down the front for a display, walk down the side, past the track, and then that takes us on to the next thing. So we can have something directly behind it if we want to. You can see the portal on that side as well. There's lots of detail on this. And then again, you can use the rooftops on this one and this one for different bits and pieces. But look at the space that is now here. that set was, well, it's that big. Look at it, that's how much space I've got left on this table. So again, if we use this from a sizing perspective, we've still got a base plate and a bit. So that is the space that we've lost behind the Daily Bugle. Now this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky, because until I guess the Avengers one is built, I don't know whether to have the Daily Bugle and the Avengers facing in on each other or have them facing forward, and then just have a big display in the middle and it's all open and it's just one big like path area type thing, which I know is not very helpful, but I just don't know, because the issue we've got with this is it's just the base plates. So if you guys and girls obviously know, the 32 by 32s for mainly everything. So I got rid of that and push that back like so, and then put that one there. This table with an overhang is three base plates. Now I can obviously pull this table forward and it'll be absolutely fine. So we could have 3 base plates there, but it's just what we do right at the very, very front, because that is then going to get lost. That's the problem. So obviously what we had was we had this connecting path. So this path here, obviously it needs a bit of TLC. This was going to work around the back. Then we're going to add in the Batmobiles and all that kind of thing, wrap that around the cinema. Now if I climb up on the table again for the 26th time this video, we had room all the way around. So like I said, I want everything connecting, and it comes up and it wraps through, and then it comes down the alleyway, and then it can go that way down that side, and they're all there basically. Now this corner is going to be the shadow box, so we're going to have the bat symbol opened up on the orange, so the orange will pop through, and then all the detail will be on that back side. So it's not going to stick out too much. I am going to have to really lean forward to see it, but I think it is just such a beautiful set. I think it'll work nicely just over there. So we need to put 4 base plates down for that, and then see what space we've got. Yes, right, so that is 2 there. So we'll push that all the way back. So that is basically the shadow box arm. That is okay. And we'll have 2. Oh, look at that. 2 there. That could not have fitted in any better if it tried. That is complete and utter fluke. So that'll work fine, I think. And then we've got the path beside the shadow box that we can come in, and we've got a choice of putting some vehicles and things in there. It's not, I don't think it is actually a base plate deep. So it's that length, but it's not as fat as that, I don't think. If it is, then that thing really is massive. But that is it obviously opened up. So I think with it shut, it's a base plate depth, and with it open, it's half a base plate. So you can be able to cut them in half. So we'll have a bit more space. And then that gives us this. So if we go by base plates, again, you've got 1, 2 and a bit. And then potentially you might have another base plate from here to the middle. So we've got plenty of space for bits and pieces and sort of add-on stuff. So when that back cave, when the shadow box goes in, I think we can sort of connect that footpath up nicely, and potentially again we can have some bits and pieces dangling off the ceiling if we want to. That, I think, weirdly looks really nice from further back. So when you stand behind the coaster, you do get a really nice view of that, and it kind of makes sense with all the different shapes and things. So when we have it full of just different characters and different scenes and everything set up, I think that'd be absolutely fine. It's a little bit of a shame that we've hidden the carousel, but then at the same time it does work there, so that's okay. And then it comes over to that side. So now this leaves us the big dilemma of all of this, which is the bit that I really am struggling with. So I was hoping to sort this out with all of you, because I guess until we know where the big tower is going to go in, we don't know how we're going to snake it around. That's fair enough. That's absolutely fine. Now we have this, which I do believe some of you do like, in that corner, which works well, and then we can just put some tiles and stuff in front of it. That all is good. As I have just spotted something else that I need to climb up onto the table for, which is the 3 Spidey heads that I need to plonk up on this shelf up there, so they don't get lost. So you have Peter Parker times 3. So you've got all three different ones up there. Now I think the new, as and when it comes out, the new modular, that can go just here. So that's absolutely fine, because we have this, I think it's a base plate and a half. So if it's a base plate and a half, we have a bit of an overhang, so it won't overhang. And then we'll have the walkway through, and that'll take us into basically what was going to be our coffee area. So that's just going to be a big cafe. So that works fine, and that would be overlooking what I think is going to be a history museum. So that, again, that could work quite well. And there's a couple of different bits and pieces I guess we can do with the history museum, because you've got the option of it being Wonder Woman, or there is other options as well, with a couple of other superheroes with regards to Moon Knight, or just something along those lines. There is things that we can do, but now it all comes down to, where do we display the new one? Do we put the new one pride and center, smack in the middle, like so, and then we just make displays around it? That, or do we have it to the back and we have a display, a little display in front of it? That's the thing that we've got to think of, because behind it is just going to be the path. Now I can make them narrower if need be, and we can just have a single lane walkway, so it doesn't have to be that big, but obviously the walkway is going to be full of minifigures or cars. So again, for example, I can just plonk one of those in, which looks a little bit random, it just been parked there, but you could have that there, or you could have the tumbler there, which is obviously a huge chunky thing, but that does take up the full road, so we can have those as a walk round. Now again, with this, if we had that as a part of a display, the other part there is part of a display, and then we had the display wrapping around the front, we could, so like with a bit of an overhang. So we could have a full 360 display around the new Avengers Tower, because I think there's a lot going on with that Avengers Tower. Let's be honest, there's quite a lot of minifigures included doing that. So I know the side pops off. So depending on which side it is and which way it gets displayed, it could just go there. And then if it just went there, because we're just going from it, that will fit in that spot, because it's high enough for the ceiling height, so we don't have to worry about that. And then I think just by eyeballing it, that gives us that amount of space. So that would actually look, then connect the path up, so we could just have the walkway wrapping around, and then obviously it then connects into that bit, which I think I actually do have the correct size piece for, but use your imagination. There. So that is all, the white is obviously all connecting through, and it just wraps around that one building. Now what you got to remember is that if we are going to make a massive display like that, which I think it would be too big a display, we are basically losing a base plate of size. Now obviously the other thing that we can do is, if we took that away, we put that into the corner like so, so they're stepped and staggered, which look quite nice, because you've then got the Daily Bugle with the display directly in front. We could then have a smaller display in front of this one, and then we could just have the display wrap around, so that could be our Daily Bugle display. So we could have it like that. So Daily Bugle, display, next set. Now if we had the next set, if we carry on with the base plate count, which I'll come down to my trusty pile for, because I have got plenty of them, so we just need, maybe, it's probably only going to be one to be honest, but we'll take 2 just in case. Next amount of plates. I'm already looking at that, that's half, that's going to be another half. Because that, if I push that all the way back to there, you're not going to get that in. So it depends on what we feel looks more effective. For the big buildings, we want more space. It makes sense having a lot of display, because it makes sense having a lot of display stuff around it, because that's the stuff that we will be doing on the lives, fingers crossed, and all that kind of thing. Whereas the stuff here we can keep tight. So we've got 132 base plate for space, and we can design whatever we want on that. That is just going to all wrap round. And then we have this. Now, obviously, what I don't want to do is lose any space. That's the thing. I'm all right with the overhang. I know it's going to annoy a lot of people, but I'd rather have that amount of extra than not have it at all, because it's either a case of we lose half a road plate and push it all back, or we keep it nice and staggered off the two, and then we just got height, and then it'd be something down on here. That is obviously the new modular. This obviously allows us to complete and to connect this path through. So we'll grab Mr. Joker, legend. Where can you go? You can go up on that. Already knocked the oh, is that going there? I'm assuming this flame comes out of one of the cars. Got to be there. I'm assuming it is, even though I haven't seen that in ages, because it doesn't come out of that one. That one spins, by the way, in case you didn't know. And then we have already broken it. No surprise. Right, we'll get these placed in a sec. This, oh, I'm gonna break my neck. Works to that point. So that is perfect up until that. So everything lines up, which is what we like to see, because obviously it's all by 32 by 32. So we will have a gap here. So we bring that forward, and that's going to be the new modular. And we bring that forward, that's the new modular. That's the gap that we're going to have just there. And I think that is just going to be pure water with a little bridge. Now the reason for that is that's going to, that water coming out of this little thing just here, that can feed the next land, which is going to be all water. So that's actually perfect. So that'll work really, really well. I'm just going to I'm going to build up the sides and just throw the tiles in loose. So that'll just be our pump supply, water supply. As you look at how all the river rapids and things work, they do get fed water from somewhere. Obviously, they don't just magically appear. They do have pipes and things there. So that works fine. So then it just comes down to realistically how much display space we want around the building, and then how much space we leave for further bits. Right, I've moved some bits and pieces because that was all starting to annoy me, so I can imagine it's really annoying you lot. Now I'm looking at that road, it kind of makes sense it being that wide because that's what it's like in theme parks, but it does eat into space. But because this is the main, let's be honest, it's going to be the main display space with regards to creating scenes and stuff with minifigures, I think we need that area, because obviously I'm going to put the hopper bits in on all of these, so we can have these, for example, again, so you can just stand the minifigures up, so the minifigures can be walking around by the road, they can be taking photos, they can be walking on the back. So that is that bit done. Now that, weirdly, I think this might fit, which is an old school football pitch, half a pitch. This thing is massive. Now, bearing in mind the old sets that came out, there was 2 of those. Now, if that goes in there or anywhere close, well, that's terrifying. There you go. That is to the stud. To the stud, the correct size. That's just bent, look, see? That is ridiculous. So that is it. So, but the only thing is that there's no set that big of that big a base. It's because that is obviously bigger than a 32. It's down, at least there's a base plate down so we can do stuff with it, but I just don't know what to put there. That's going to be the only thing, because I don't know if there is anything else superhero related. Now the only thing I'm looking at the moment is that if I can't get these things dangling off, I could have it as a spaceship parking, and it just parks, because you've got the big orange one, so you could have that in the middle and people just walk around it. I've got the Quinjet as well, but that's smashed. Let me know, as I'm looking around this, what could we do with that? Because if we took that off, again I'm doing this all as we go, and we put that down there, we could just have, I'm guessing that'd be close to a 16 stud down on that side, if I've got another, I think I have by the Ninjago. So is that wide? Yes, it is. So we could just have that coming down, and then we have a full path to the end, so that leaves, Does that mean the Doctor Strange set goes there? Do we put the Daily Bugle, Avengers Tower? Does the Doctor Strange set just go here? And then in front, it's just extra display. So we have a display between the two, Avengers Tower and Doctor Strange, or should we just keep the Doctor Strange split up? That is going to be your decision. Anybody that is watching this and has watched this so far, let me know. If not, I know that there's a base plate of space there, and then we can just carry on with the road, and it would just be a nice display piece. So we have created something quite smart, and I think over here actually I can finish that off with the road. So I do believe underneath this is where now something's going to get smashed. I'm now rushing and getting excited. That is the length of that. So that all connects. So if we just brought the one down that I need to tidy up. So that is that. Obviously I change it all to the correct colours because half of it was, some of it was DC and some of it was Marvel to start with. That's what the colours were. So you can see road to nowhere, road round, that is all for the figures. And then if I took this off, the bit that now doesn't have any base plates on whatsoever, that is all display for Avengers Tower and something else. Because we have got the bank we could potentially put in there, because the bank's a corner unit, so that could just fit directly at the front, because we did have a big display with people breaking into the bank. And do we have the bank right next door to the Avengers Tower, because obviously it's a nice corner unit, so that could potentially just work there as a thing instead of the Doctor Strange. And the Doctor Strange just stays over on this side. If you think the Doctor Strange, this is it. This is where it's getting a little bit confusing now. Hopefully you guys can visualize what that's like as the base plate, unless hang on. Option number one is the bank, so that'll be easy if you guys can see. So you know what the grey is going to be, and that the water is display. So that's all display all the way across the wood. I can't keep changing it all too much, but we have got the option of just having it as a brick wall display and it comes over. Or the other option is we hide the brick wall that way. That turkey spins round. Oh, going the wrong way to there. That bit then goes back into there. Obviously it's all rough. Don't forget it is perfect to the stud. It will fit. And then we've got the soaps and suds. We've got the doors into the bank. We've got some sort of display that can obviously then connect to the back. And then we've got that. So that is option number one. Option two, the bank stays where it is because we've got the display going on in front of it, and we can still create the bank robbery, and then it goes straight into the DC bit for the Batman scene, and then that is all alleyway that links into the Batman, so Marvel, DC, simple. And then we have that there. So that then faces inwards, so we've got the door side on. So I think it'd be quite nice to have one side on, like so, and then the other building facing forwards. But obviously, if you think it looks better, so you want to see it properly, it is just on a square, so you can then just spin it round, have it like that. But if you do that, you then got the eyeball hanging out, and then that'll be the only place I could put the eye with it overhanging the battle. But I'm not too sure if it works as well, because I can still have the eye hanging out over the back, because where it is over here, it is overhanging. But it's one of those sets where if you want it as a row like that, for example, you will have to tuck that in because you're not going to see exactly what is what. So I personally think out of the two options, it looks a little bit better like that. And I don't know, does it make sense having the Doctor Strange set as close to that as the Avengers Tower? Because this was just an idea. I mean, that just leaves us space then for a base plate, doesn't it? So that can just go... that can just go where that was, and then we know that another building would look nice there. Now don't forget we've got the buildings up at the top, so if we want to pull the building off and replace it with something we can do. We could potentially put the two townhouses would work probably there by the firehouse, but maybe not. So that I think I'm going to leave. I don't think I'm going to do any more for the Marvel DC stuff. The cars, I'm going to think, oh, if what I do with the cars is I'm just going to place them they're all going to go in that road for now, just so they're out of the way, because that is where they're going to go. That is going to go over that side because that's with the shadow box. That Batman is amazing, and that is with the shadow box as well. And this massive chunk is there, and then we have, well, we've got all the villains for the DC stuff. So there's Bane. Yeah, so there is options, because if we had this sort of, I guess, big display going on where you've got the big battle going outside the Daily Bugle, which is part of the bank, and then that would then just carry on. The other thing, obviously, that we can do, as you can see what the issue is with regards to vehicles, but if you wanted more display bit, I could just do that. And then you can see that obviously you don't gain anything. That's the problem. So in case you're wondering, I would have to have a 32 by 32 and it'd be sticking out by twice the amount. So with the little overhang and that big path at the back, you're not really gaining any space at the front, which is a little bit of a shame. But all of this is just display. So we've got a good amount of stuff, and now don't forget, this display could just carry on. We could go up the road, we can do whatever we want with that. Maybe that might be the better way to go, and you're going to get a nice look at that next to that. You let me know, see if you can visualize it. Obviously this tower, I am going to get it straight away. Now the bits and pieces at the back, that's in. I think that has to stay there unless we make something custom, because of the angle of the roof. It's very deceiving. That potentially could go a little bit higher, but I'm not too sure. I think that works. To be fair, where I'm stood, it works because it's right by the police station, so it does work well. I think what we'll have to do is we'll have to mess around with this far corner with the cinema and that sort of walkway that we've created when that shadow box goes in. Now that shadow box is absolutely massive. So it's going to take a while to build, but what I want to do today is basically sort out the rest of this. So we are going to figure out how I can do what I've done with this with regards to getting it roughly spaced out for the rest of these tables, and then I can build the stuff and then put it where it needs to go without hanging myself on the ceiling. So watch the next episode after this one with regards to what I attack next. There's obviously, you can see everything from here on actually has to move just to be able to do the next section, which is really annoying. But Disney Castle will be coming sooner rather than later. Just to throw it out there, would anybody like to see the UCS AT-AT about to destroy the new Disney Castle after the Disney takeover of Star Wars? Just throwing that idea out there. I think that might make quite a nice display. But guys, I think that is it. I am done. So comments below, let us know what you think. If you can like this video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be absolutely fantastic. One more quick pan around of what we've done so far. So a quick recap. Road is the road. That is for a unit for the new modular potentially. The table is all display, and then you've got your road that wraps around. So that road just connects all the way through, so it makes sense. And then obviously this was a road that has already been broken up, so you can see that it was in the process of being repaired, but we had it up here, so that bit doesn't actually need to necessarily be a road whatsoever. We can just have the road going from there and up. So this bit down, so we've got a 16 by 32 of more display, so the display actually starts here and the road will wrap up, so that's how that would go. So that would work really well. So that would basically be like to there, and then the display is there. So that's how that would be. Comments below, let us know what you think. But I'm waffling, I've got so many ideas, but I want to get this video uploaded and share it with you lot, and then you guys can change it all. So guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. You lot take care, and I'll catch you next one. Ta-da.